Hello everyone. Now let's discuss the nested for loop in Java. Okay, nested for loop. So what is the meaning of nested? One inside another, which means one for loop present inside another for loop is called nested for loop. So I'll start by importing the package import java.util.star class main public static void main string args. Fine. I'll create an object for the scanner class. Scanner is equal to new scanner system.in. Fine. Now I'll take a variable called n to know the number of iterations. So int n equal to sc dot next int. Okay. Now I'll take a for loop. So here I'm going to have one for loop inside another for loop. Okay. One is for iterating on the rows. Another is for iterating the column, I can say. So for int I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. Next one is for int j is equal to 1, j less than or equal to n, j plus plus. Okay. So here now you will have a confusion. How come the iteration is happening here? So here first it starts the iteration from this for loop. What is my I value? I value is 1. 1 less than or equal to n. Let's assume the value of n is 3. 1 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. If the condition is true, I'll go inside the for loop. Now, outer for loop has been iterated only once. Okay, the condition is true. Then I'll go inside the for loop. Now, after going inside the for loop, now this loop iteration starts. So, this completes the entire iteration. Then it go to the next iteration of the outer for loop. Now, let's assume the value of j is equal to 1. Because that's what I have initialized. 1 less than or equal to 3. Condition is true. Okay. If the condition is true, I'll go inside. I'll just print my I value and j value. System.out.print ln I. I'll give a space. Then I'll print my I value and j value. My I value is 1 and my j value is also 1. Then I'll go for the next iteration of my inner for loop. Now j value becomes 2. 2 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. If the condition is true, I'll go inside the for loop. I'll print my I value and j value. What is my I value? I value is 1. What is my j value? My j value is 2. 1 and 2 will be printed. Then I'll go for the next j value. J value becomes 3. Check the condition. 3 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. If the condition is true, I'll go inside the for loop. I'll print my I value and j value. My I value is still 1 and my j value is 3. Now I'll go for the next iteration of my j value. So I value becomes 4. 4 less than or equal to 3, condition becomes false. I'll come out of this for loop. So after this, I'll go for the next iteration of this for loop. Now what is my I value? I value becomes 2. 2 less than or equal to 3, yes, condition is true. If the condition is true, I'll go inside the inner for loop again. The j value starts from 1 onwards. Okay. Now this inner for loop iteration will be completely over. Then only I'll go for the next iteration. So now j value is 1. 1 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. I'll go inside. I'll print my I value and j value. Now I value is 2 and my j value is 1. Then I'll go to the next j value. J value becomes 2. 2 less than or equal to 3. Yes. So I'll go inside. I value is 2 and my j value is also 2. Then I'll go to the next iteration. J value becomes 3. 3 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. I'll go inside. I'll print my I value as 2 and my j value as 3. Then I'll go to the next j value. J value becomes 4. 4 less than or equal to 3. Condition becomes false. I'll come out of this for loop. Then I'll go to the next iteration of my I value. I value becomes 3 now. 3 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. I'll go inside. Now j value starts the iteration from 1 onwards. Because this is my new I value. So j starts with 1. 1 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. I'll go inside the for loop. I'll print my I value as 3 and my j value as 1. Then I'll go to the next iteration. J value is incremented by 1, which becomes 2. 2 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. I'll go inside. I'll print my I value as 3 and my j value as 2. Then I'll go to the next iteration. J value becomes 3. 3 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. I'll go inside. I'll print my I value as 3 and j value is also 3. Then I'll go for the next iteration. So j value becomes 4. 4 less than or equal to 3. Condition becomes false. I'll come out of this for loop. Now I'll go to next iteration of my I value. I value becomes 4. 4 less than or equal to 3. Condition is false. So if the condition is false, what I'll do? I'll come out of the outer for loop. I'll come out of the outer for loop. That's all. Let me save this code and let me execute this. I'll give the input value n as 3. See here, 1 1 1 2 1 3, 2 1 2 2 2 3, 3 1 3 2 3 3. Just when I value is 1, j iterated for 1 2 3 times. When I value is 2, j iterated for 3 times. When I value is equal to 3, j iterated for 3 times. That's all. Okay, so this is what called as nested for loop. So similar like this, we can have nested while loop also. So we can have for loop inside while loop. We can have while loop inside for loop. So we can have multiple combinations. It doesn't mean that we need to have the same for loops for nested loops. No, we can have different loops also. So this is one thing which we have to know about the nested for loops. Apart from this, we have to know some other things about for loop. So I'll explain one by one. So earlier we were initializing only one variable in for loop. Is it possible for me to initialize two values? For example, int I is equal to 1. I'm going to give j equal to n. Okay, so I am initializing two variables. This is also possible. So if you want to print I and j, certain things, some cases we'll be working on this. We need to have two variables when you're dealing with two pointer concepts. Okay, this helps us in string palindrome and those two pointer concepts program. So if you want to initialize two variables and if there is a purpose to initialize two variables inside for loop, that is also possible. So I can give I equal to 1, j equal to n. So condition, is it mandatory that I have to give two conditions? No. Condition states that some condition has to be there, until then the loop will be executed. So I'll give the condition as I less than or equal to n. Got over. Now I am starting my I value with 1. I am starting my j value with n. So I smaller number to bigger number it is going. So I'll give I plus plus. J value bigger number I have taken. So I'll give j minus minus. I'll just print I value and j value. I that's all. Let me save this code. Let me execute the code. I'll give my I value as 3. See, 1 3 2 2 3 1. Let me explain the execution. See here, initially the value of I is 1, j is 3. So check the condition, 1 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. So I'll go inside, I'll print my I value and j value. I value is 1, j value is 3. Done. Then I'll go for the next iteration. I value has to be incremented. So 1 becomes 2, j has to be decremented. 3 becomes 2 because it is decremented. So when I try to print I value and j value, 2 and 2 will be printed. 2 and 2 has been printed. Now I'll go for next iteration. I value becomes 3 and j value becomes 1. So I'll print I value is 3 and j value is 1. Then I'll go for next iteration. I value becomes 4, j value becomes 0. Check the condition. 4 less than or equal to 3, condition becomes false. I'll come out of the for loop. So I can initialize two variables also. And here, is it mandatory that I need to give two variable increment decrement? No, it's not like that. Here the purpose is I want to print one in ascending order, another in descending order. That's why I have given increment and decrement. So here, if you want to give only one thing, yes, you can give. So here I can initialize one time. I am inserting one more variable inside my body of the loop and I can give increment or decrement here. Yes, it is possible. This can be done multiple things. Okay. So next thing we have to know about for loop is, for here you have to know one thing, that it is not mandatory I have to initialize inside the for loop. So I can give int I is equal to 1. So I have initialized here. So initialization I can leave it as empty. I can give I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. This is also possible. So this will not throw me any error. Directly I can get the value. Let me save this. Let me execute this. I'll give my 1 2 3. Because initialization I have done outside the for loop. So when I am doing initially outside the for loop, so I don't want to initialize inside this. So we have learned the syntaxes: initialization, condition, increment or decrement. So that is the thing we need to have. So for that we need to give the semicolon. So before semicolon is initialization, after semicolon is condition, after the semicolon is increment or decrement. The two semicolon is important, but not the think whatever the content before that is not required. So I can initialize outside the for loop. I can give the condition inside the for loop also. I can give break statement, I can come out of it. So it is not mandatory that initialization has to be there. Condition should be there, increment and decrement should be there. So here this increment I can take and I can put it here also. Even this works. So this works. So here the thing which is important is these two semicolons. Now if I am not giving any condition, just I am giving these two semicolons. So this states an infinite loop. So this we call it as infinite loop, which means the loop will not stop. It will be keep on executing. Let me run the code. I'll give the input value as 3. See, it keeps on going. It will not stop the execution. Some random values will be printed. So what I'll do, I'll stop the code here. This is another thing which we have to know. Next, this is a tricky thing. Int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. Okay, I'll print my I value. I'm separating the value with space. Fine. Now I have a question here. What if I give a semicolon at the end of the for loop? What happens here? Will it throw me an error or will I get an answer? Let's check. Let me run the code. I'll have an error here. Okay. I cannot be resolved to a variable. Okay. I'll tell you what is the error here. So here I have declared the variable inside the for loop. What is the meaning of semicolon? Semicolon states the end of a statement. What is the purpose of a semicolon? Semicolon states the end of a statement. So when I give a semicolon, it states that the for loop got over here itself. On line number 10 itself, the for loop got over. This body doesn't belong to for loop. It is just a separate body. It doesn't belong to the for loop. This is the actual meaning whenever we are giving semicolon to the for loop. Again, I'll repeat, whenever I'm giving a semicolon to the for loop, it states that the execution, the for loop got over here itself. In other words, I can say that, I can comment and I'll write for int I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. This is the actual meaning. This is the actual meaning. So this for loop got over here itself. So there is nothing inside the body of the loop. This doesn't belong to for loop. Now you would have asked a question, why am I getting an error? Because this variable I is declared inside the for loop. So the scope of the variable I is only within the for loop, not the outside the for loop. So here this is outside the for loop. So I am getting an error saying that the variable I cannot be resolved to a variable. This is the reason why am I getting this error. Now what if I declare the variable outside the for loop? Now I'll initialize inside, but I'll declare outside. Okay. Int I. Now will I get an error? No, will not get an error, will get an answer. See here, I have given a semicolon here, which means for loop got over here itself. Let me run the code. I'll give my n value as 3. See, I've got the output value as 4. How am I getting output value as 4 in the sense? As I mentioned already, the execution of the for loop got over here itself, which means I have declared here. I value is 1. 1 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. Nothing is there inside the for loop. So I'll go for next iteration. 2. 2 less than or equal to 3. Condition true. Nothing is there to execute a print. Then go for next iteration. 3. 3 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. Nothing is there to print inside this. Then I'll go for the next iteration. I value becomes 4. Maybe for your easy understanding, I'll write like this. So when I give semicolon, what is the meaning? Nothing is there inside the for loop. I'll comment these codes. Okay. Now we will not have any issues. Okay. So I value equal to 1. 1 less than or equal to 3. Condition true. Nothing is there to execute. So I'll go for next I value. 2 less than or equal to 3. True. Nothing is there to execute. 3 less than or equal to 3. True. I'll go inside. Nothing is there. Then I'll go for next I value. I value becomes 4. 4 less than or equal to 3. Yes, condition is true. So I'll come out of the for loop. So I'll come out of the for loop. After coming out of the for loop, when I try to print the value of I, the I value is 4. So that's why I've got the output value is 4. It is not printing because of the for loop. This block doesn't belong to the for loop at all. Execution of the for loop got over. Now when I try to print my I value is 4. So that's why I have got the output value as 4. In the earlier cases, I was getting an error because I have declared the variable inside the for loop. So this is the difference between declaring the variable inside the for loop and outside the for loop. Whenever we are giving semicolon for a for loop, it doesn't mean that it will throw me an error. Okay, so the syntax doesn't have semicolon for the for loop, but when I give a semicolon, the actual meaning is semicolon states that end of a statement. So the for loop got over here itself. Next, so here mostly we are using only integer variable in for loop. Can we iterate character? Is it possible? Yes, of course it is possible. I'll get the character value as input from the user. Char n is equal to sc dot next dot caret of 0. So I'll get the character value from the user. For char I is equal to, so I'm going to start the iteration from the character a, and I'm going to print till the nth character. So I'll give I less than or equal to n, I plus plus. So here it starts the iteration from the character a and it goes on up to the character what I'm going to give as the input value for the variable n. So system.out.print I'll separate with the space. That's all. So similar like an integer, I can start iterating the character also. This is possible. This helps us when we are writing program in patterns. So we have to print alphabets. Some kind of programs we will be writing. Other point of time it helps us. So let me run the code. I am going to print up to the character called F. See, A, B, C, D, E, F. That's all I have got. So I can give character also. Now the next question arises, can I give double value? Yes, of course we can give. So directly I'll just give, instead of getting the input value, I'll give for double equal to 1.0 double, sorry, variable I have to give. I is equal to 1.0, I less than or equal to 5.0, I'll give I plus plus. I'm printing my I value. System.out.print I. That's all. Let me run the code now. See here 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. This is possible. Okay. I can use integer, character, float, double. Yes, anything is possible. Similarly here instead of float, I'll give it as double. I'll run the code now. It is throwing me an error saying that cannot convert from double to float, because whenever you are taking a float value, it has to be mentioned as float. So if you are taking any decimal value, that will be considered as double only, because I am just giving 5.0. This 5.0 doesn't belong to float, it belongs to double. That is why I am getting this error. So I'll give 1.0f, 5.0f. I'll save this code, run the code. See, I've got this. Whenever we are taking any decimal values, by default it will be considered as a double value if you are not specifying it to any data type. Okay, because this 5.0 earlier, if I have not given f, so it is a double value, but the variable I is a float. That is why I have got that error. Similarly, if I want to go for while loop, I can go for it. So when I give while of true, this is an infinite loop. So I don't know how many iterations it has to iterate. I don't know what is the condition also. Until some certain condition becomes, and then I have to break. If when it satisfies some condition, I can break and I can come out of it. So while of true, this is an infinite loop.